Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today we're diving into a topic that's on everyone's mind: how to learn English quickly in 2025. If you've been struggling to improve your English or you've just started your learning journey, you're in the right place. We're here to share actionable tips, the latest tools and strategies to help you speed up your progress in mastering the English language. And, of course, I'm not alone today. Joining me is my wonderful co-host, Julia. Hi, Julia.
Hi, Jason, and hello to all our listeners. I'm so excited about today's topic because learning English is more important than ever, especially in 2025. With so many new tools and resources available, there's no reason anyone can't achieve their language goals.
Absolutely, Julia. In today's episode, we'll talk about why learning English quickly is essential, share proven strategies that you can start using right away, and even discuss how to avoid common pitfalls that slow learners down.
Plus, we've got some motivational stories and tips to keep you inspired throughout your journey. So, whether you're learning English for a job, travel, or personal growth, stay tuned.
By the end of this episode, you'll walk away with clear steps and tools to fast-track your English skills. Ready to get started, Julia?
Ready, let's dive in.
So, before we jump into the strategies, let's talk about why. Learning English quickly is so important, especially in 2025. Julia, what's your take on this?
Great question, Jason. English continues to be the global language of communication. It's the key to opportunities in almost every field, whether it's education, business, or even entertainment. And in 2025, with the world becoming even more connected digitally, having strong English skills gives you a huge advantage.
Exactly. Think about remote jobs. With the rise of international work opportunities, English has become the common language for remote teams. If you're fluent, you're not just applying for local jobs, you're competing on a global scale.
And it's not just about work. English is the language of the internet. Over half the content online is in English. That means learning it opens up a treasure trove of knowledge and resources.
That's a great point, Julia. And let's not forget travel. For many of our listeners who dream of exploring the world, English is often the bridge that helps you communicate, whether you're in Europe, Asia, or the Americas.
Absolutely. It's also worth mentioning the importance of English for education. In 2025, more universities and online courses are offering programs in English than ever before. If you're looking to study abroad or enroll in an online degree, English is your gateway.
And one more thing: social connections. Social media platforms, forums, and communities are dominated by English speakers. If you can engage in those spaces, you can build friendships and professional networks around the world.
So true, Jason. In short, learning English isn't just a skill. It's a necessity for anyone who wants to thrive in today's interconnected world.
And that's why learning it quickly matters. Time is precious, and the faster you can master the language, the sooner you can unlock these opportunities.
Exactly. So now that we understand why it's so important, let's get into the how. Ready to dive into some strategies?
Now that we understand why learning English quickly is so important, let's dive into the most effective strategies to make it happen. Julia, what's the first step for anyone trying to speed up their learning?
The first step, Jason, is creating an immersive learning environment. Even if you're not in an English-speaking country, you can surround yourself with the language. For example, you can watch English TV shows, listen to English podcasts, like this one, or play music in English.
That's a great start. Immersion really helps your brain get used to the language naturally. And don't just passively consume content. Try shadowing, Listen to a phrase and repeat it immediately. This improves your pronunciation and fluency.
Absolutely. Another tip for immersion is changing the language settings on your phone, apps, and social media to English. It forces you to think in the language every time you use these tools.
That's a smart trick. Okay, what's next, Julia?
Next is using technology effectively. In 2025, we have so many advanced tools to help us learn faster. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, and Memories make vocabulary and grammar fun and interactive. Plus, there are AI-powered tools like chatbots or virtual tutors that simulate real conversations.
Great point, Julia. Speaking of AI, tools like ChatGPT or other language assistants can help you practice writing and speaking. You can even ask them for feedback on your sentences.
Exactly. And don't forget about YouTube channels for English learners. Many creators offer lessons that cater to all levels, from beginner to advanced.
True. All right, let's talk about practice, the backbone of learning any skill. To learn English quickly, you have to practice every day. Julia, what's your advice for practicing consistently?
Well, Jason, it's important to make practice fun and varied. For example, keep a journal in English, try speaking out loud while doing daily tasks, or record yourself and listen back to spot areas for improvement.
That's a great tip. And if you don't have a partner to practice speaking with, use language exchange platforms like HelloTalk or Tandem. You can connect with native speakers and practice real-life conversations.
Absolutely. And even talking to yourself in English works. Describe what you're doing or how you're feeling. It helps you think in English, which is key to fluency.
Great advice, Julia. Another important strategy is to learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid of getting things wrong. It's part of the process.
Right. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. Keep a notebook where you jot down your common errors, then review and correct them regularly.
Exactly. And let's not forget vocabulary. One way to learn new words quickly is to focus on context. Read stories, watch videos, or listen to conversations where words are used in real-life situations.
Yes, and try using flashcards or apps like Anki to build your vocabulary. Just make sure to review them regularly so the words stick in your memory.
These are excellent strategies, Julia. To sum up, immerse yourself in the language, use modern technology, practice daily, and embrace your mistakes. Anything else to add before we move on?
Just one thing, Jason. Don't rush. While learning quickly is great, it's important to enjoy the process. When you're having fun, the language will stick with you longer.
So true. All right, now that we've covered the strategies, let's talk about some common pitfalls and how we've covered some powerful strategies for learning English quickly. But let's not forget, there are common pitfalls that can slow you down or even discourage you. Julia, what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes learners make?
One of the most common mistakes, Jason, is trying to learn everything at once. Many learners think they need to master all the grammar rules and memorize thousands of words before they can start speaking, but that's overwhelming and unrealistic.
That's so true. Instead, focus on the essentials. Learn the most commonly used words and phrases first. Build a solid foundation and add more as you go.
Exactly. Another pitfall is being afraid to make mistakes. Some people avoid speaking English because they're worried about getting it wrong or sounding silly.
And that fear can really hold you back. Here's the truth. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. The more you speak, even if it's not perfect, the faster you'll improve.
Right? And here's another mistake: lack of consistency. Many learners start strong but lose momentum after a few weeks. Learning a language requires regular practice. It's like exercising a muscle.
Great point, Julia. To stay consistent, try setting small, achievable goals. For example, commit to learning 5 new words a day or practicing speaking for 10 minutes. Small steps lead to big results over time.
Absolutely. Another pitfall is relying too much on passive learning. Watching videos or listening to podcasts is great, but you also need active engagement, like speaking, writing, or doing exercises.
That's crucial. Passive learning gives you input, but active practice helps you produce language. A balance between the two is the key to success.
Finally, Jason, I'd say the last big pitfall is comparing yourself to others. Everyone learns at their own pace. It's easy to feel discouraged if you see someone improving faster, but that doesn't mean you're failing.
Exactly, Julia. Focus on your own progress. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small, and keep moving forward.
To sum it up, avoid overwhelming yourself, don't fear mistakes, stay consistent, balance passive and active learning, and don't compare yourself to others.
That's it, Julia. If our listeners can steer clear of these pitfalls, they'll be on the fast track to learning English successfully.
Now that we've addressed these common challenges, let's wrap things up with some motivational tips and success stories to keep our listeners inspired.
Great idea. Let's dive into that next. We've shared strategies and pointed out common pitfalls, but let's talk about something just as important. Staying motivated. Julia, learning English can sometimes feel like a long journey. What advice would you give to keep our listeners inspired?
That's a great point, Jason. My first piece of advice is to focus on your progress, not perfection. Celebrate every small win, whether it's understanding a conversation, learning a new phrase, or pronouncing a tricky word correctly. These little victories add up over time.
I love that, Julia. Another way to stay motivated is to remind yourself of your why. Why are you learning English? Is it for a better job, to travel, or to connect with new people? Keeping that goal in mind can push you forward, even on tough days.
Exactly. And surround yourself with positivity. Join online communities or find friends who are also learning English. Sharing your journey with others can make the process more enjoyable and less lonely.
That's so true. And don't forget to have fun. Choose activities that you enjoy, like watching your favorite movies or listening to songs in English. When learning feels like play, it becomes so much easier.
Absolutely, Jason. And here's a quick success story to inspire our listeners. A student of mine started learning English just 6 months ago. She practiced daily for 15 minutes and focused on speaking confidently, even with mistakes. Now she's having full conversations in English, and she's even landed a remote job at an international company.
That's incredible. It's proof that consistency and confidence can take you far. To all our listeners, if she can do it, so can you.
Exactly. Just take it one step at a time and remember, every effort you make today brings you closer to fluency.
Well said, Julia. Keep going, everyone. You've got this. Now, let's wrap up with a quick summary of everything we've covered today. Before we wrap up, we want to leave you with a simple but important message. Take action today. Learning English quickly is possible if you start now and stay consistent.
That's right, Jason. Start small. Try one new strategy from today's podcast. Whether it's immersing yourself in English content, practicing daily, or using an app to learn vocabulary, just take that first step.
And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more helpful tips and strategies. We're here to guide you every step of the way on your English learning journey.
Also, share this episode with a friend who's learning English. Together, you can motivate and support each other.
Lastly, we'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge in learning English, and how do you stay motivated? Drop us a comment or message. We might feature your story in a future episode.
You've got this. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Until then, happy learning.
Take care, everyone, and keep pushing forward.